right thing no matter what. And I watched him do that through a horror story, really. My mom got breast cancer when she was really young in the early 80s, and treatment then was mustard gas, and it was bad. Yeah. It was just really bad. And I think one thing I always come about is, like, if you ask me, like, who you want to be when you grow up, it'd be like my pops. Welcome to Poor Boys Banter.
Today's episode, my dad can beat up your dad. Kids always got into that argument when they were little. At least we did. I think at one point we even said that our dads were bionic.
Yeah, I think so. Everybody's dad was Steve Austin back in the day.
Yeah, or superpowers of some kind. Anyway, we're going to talk about our dads, obviously. So happy Father's Day to you, if you are a father.
Happy Father's Day.
And happy Father's Day to your fathers, if they're still around. If they are, please call them, hug them. Unfortunately, both of ours are gone now, but we're going to share some stories. What's one story about your dad that you want to share?
I remember one cool one, man. I learned about this word called punchboard. What is a punchboard? So my dad worked in an aluminum factory, and we didn't have tons of money coming up because my mom had a lot of health issues, a lot of medical bills and things like that. But when I want a toy remote control car or something like that, I'm not a NASCAR fan at all. But Dad'd be like, if so and so wins the race, I'll get it for you. What are you talking about? And where he worked, they had this thing called a punch board. And I guess they put money in a pot and they could punch. And whatever numbers that matched drivers' numbers, if you got the one that won the race, you won the pot. And I remember Daryl Waltrip a couple of times ended up getting me like a Batmobile and a General Lee, I think.
Batmobile? What?
Yeah.
Were these metal? Or what kind of cars were they? Were they the Amigo ones? Or what were they?
Well, the General Lee was the remote control, and I remember vividly.
I don't remember you having that.
And then I think
cool.
It was the Mego Batmobile that I got from him winning on the punchboard race. So,
oh, wow. That's great, man.
Tell me one about your dad.
One about my dad. We didn't have a whole lot of money either. Both our dads sacrificed a lot for us. In fact, about the only time Philip and I got anything as gifts were birthdays and Christmas.
Yeah.
And the occasional time when maybe they had a little extra money, like Philip just said. One thing that I want to make sure that is known, our podcast title, Poor Boys Banter. That is in reverence to my dad. He did not have a whole lot of money growing up. His childhood wasn't all that great. But I asked him just a few years ago why he always treated me so well on my birthday and for Christmas when we didn't have a whole lot of money. But they made sure that they treated me very well. Probably much better than I should have. Anyway, he said, I just wanted you to have things better than when I did, when I was a kid. And where he didn't have a whole lot of money, or we didn't have a whole lot of money as a family, he would frequently have to make concessions or make accommodations for things that I wanted and things he wanted. He was an electronics and computer genius. I am not exaggerating. He was brilliant. I wish I had a tenth of his mind because he had a very strong engineering mind. And he could not afford a computer back in the mid-'70s. They were very expensive. Not a whole lot of computing power in those old machines, but IBM, PCs, personal computers, were not existent really. They were just coming out onto the scene. And to buy one ready to go off the shelf, we're talking thousands of dollars at the time. So who knows how much they would be now. So Dad built one himself. He bought the circuit boards, he bought the chips, the wiring, keyboard. He fabricated his own computer casing. It's a big metal shell. We're going to show it in a future episode. There may even be a picture of it here during this episode, but we're going to spend a little more time on that later on. He called it he there's little what are those little red label things called?
Label maker, yeah.
Label maker, where you dialed in the number and the letter, and you squeezed it, and it made that little indentation in the tape. He had that piece of tape on a computer saying, "Poor boy's 8080." 8080 was the processor at the time. I have no idea who put it out. This was way before, Intel was around, but I don't think this was Intel. Nothing like that. This was back in 1976, 77. So he built this computer on his own. That poor boy's 8080 had a numerical keypad. He typed things in using assembly language or machine language. It was amazing for what it was. You had to flip switches to read or write to the memory. It wasn't as simple as just saving things to a disk like you do now. You just hit save, it's saved.
No screen.
He hooked it up to a TV, to a black and white TV, old black and white TV. We're not talking graphics. There were no graphics. If there were graphics, it was numerical characters. Like a spaceship was as a greater than, less than sign and a circle in between. And we'll show some examples of this later on in another episode. But he had a keyboard, the numerical keyboard, and he would get magazines with computer programs listed in those magazines, and he'd just go through and type them in. And one of our first, it was our first computer game, was a Star Trek-like game where you had to go between quadrants and destroy ships. Again, it was not one of these where you had a joystick and you flew through the galaxy on the screen. You actually had to type in coordinates and firing coordinates and all this other stuff. It actually helped us probably learn math and some of our engineering skills, especially Philip, where he has learned how to do all of his IT stuff over the years. But that's my big story, is that we named this podcast after him to a certain degree, in reverence to him. And he helped fuel our video game addiction to a certain degree that we talked about previous episode. But that's my first story.
I remember my dad, another thing I remember about him, he fixed anything. Like, it didn't matter. It's like, bicycle's not working, I don't know, bearings are out in the hub, chains broke, whatever. Car's not working, the transmission's skipping. Seemed like he just knew how to fix anything, whether he'd seen it or not. And I think he passed a lot of that to me over, I don't know, DNA or just me hanging around him. But that's one thing I remember about him. It was he was so creative in the way he could just figure out how to, make things work that were broken and fix it with crap he had laying around. I got some duct tape, some super glue, I got a wrench, a screwdriver, I'm good to go. He did a lot of cool things. And then one thing I think I took away from that is I never saw my dad give up on anything. If something wasn't working and he was going to fix it, he stuck with it till he fixed it. And it's just pretty amazing that he could do that when no internet. It wasn't like he's looking up on Google.
No.
I remember he told me when he got hired at the aluminum factory, they handed him some kind of tool, and evidently the way he held it in his hand, they asked him, "Why are you holding it that way?" And he said, "Because it feels natural." And he was, whatever this tool was, he had gripped it and held it the proper way that they said most people won't do that naturally. I think a lot of my tenacity and don't give up and hard-headedness, come from him for sure.
Well, that's something I don't share with you, because if I don't fix it in 5 minutes, I just screw it. I'm done with it. Call somebody. Just call the man. Both our dads were very good engineers, very good with their hands. That was not passed along to me, unfortunately. I've had to learn a lot of stuff along the way that I should have learned back then with my dad, but I didn't pay attention. I should have paid more attention. Like I mentioned before, we did not have a whole lot of money, and things that we did receive, that I received, again, birthday or Christmas, if it was outside of those 2 holidays, I had to earn it. I really wanted an Atari 5200. Yeah, I know. He got the ColecoVision, I got the Atari, and by God, the Atari was better. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. Those controllers were awful. Anyway, I did not know that at the time. In order to get the Atari 5200, Dad made me learn computer languages, primarily assembly language. He had a notebook, a big spiral, not spiral bound, a big 3-ring binder notebook that he had, I think from his work, or he bought it. He was a major computer geek, long before computer geeks was even a word, a term.
Before Jim Butterfield, probably.
and for those who don't know who Jim Butterfield is,
that's a long
we'll talk about that in the future. Commodore 64. Anyway, our computer geekery came from Dad, for sure. Dad made me learn machine language, assembly language. And it wasn't just, did you read it, son? Yeah, I read it. He made me take the tests. I had to learn, I had to study, I had to take the tests, I had to program the machine. And then one day, I was so excited because I had like 2 more modules to go. And it was one evening, I said, okay, Dad, I think I'm ready. Went through those 2 modules, took the test, passed. Can we go this weekend to get the Atari, Dad? We'll see. He walks out of the room, walks back into the room with a big ass Atari 5200 box. That box was huge. That box was like 4 foot long and 3 foot wide.
Because the damn console was huge and the controller.
Yeah. Now, at the time, you could not have told me that the Atari was worse than ColecoVision. No, because we were always in competition.
I tried to tell you.
We were always in competition. Shut up. We were always in competition about, whatever it was. And the console wars began with us.
Oh, yeah.
The Atari versus ColecoVision. At the time, I knew ColecoVision was better, but I didn't know that when I bought the Atari, or when Dad bought the Atari. When I had the Atari for about 6 months, and I had the games that came out for it, and I saw the games that he had for his ColecoVision, yeah, in my head, I was going, damn. But publicly, it's like, no, it's as good as that one. It's as good as yours, it's not better. Very good. It's as good as... But no, the ColecoVision did win that contest, but he could not have told me at the time. So anyway, he comes in with that big Atari. I said, oh my God. So, did I remember any of that? Not really. Because I didn't use it. And I probably forgot all that machine language, all that computer stuff, probably within 6 months because I didn't use it. But
we got Ivy in the...
Hey, we have a
You're
guest.
famous now.
We have a guest. Hello. No dancing right now. See you later. But anyway, tell me another story about your dad.
Oh man, my dad worked swing shifts, and we lived in a trailer park, and the roof of the trailer was, I don't know, like 10 or something. But where he worked swing shifts, he'd have to sleep a lot, like during daytime. I never forget this, man. So like when wind would blow or something, that roof would buckle and pop, and my dad, being the engineer that he is, he solved it. He solved it by going to a junkyard and getting old used car tires and sticking them on top of the trailer.
I remember that.
And it did. It stopped it. But boy, like, it's an eyesore, right? Like, and had kids making fun of me, like, why you got tires on top of your house? It's like, I don't know, man. My dad, like, that's how he solved it, man. I'll never forget
It worked,
that.
though.
And,
it worked. Now, it's a pain if we got our Frisbee stuck up there.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, we'd be out throwing things.
We gotta get the Frisbee.
Or our
Dad's
parachute
sleeping.
guys
Dad's
or something,
sleeping.
and they'd land on top and it's like, oh, a guy landed in a tire. And it's like, and then you had to like climb on top. But yeah, I mean, he I can't imagine that being fun, man. So my dad would work 11 to 7. He'd get 2 days off. Then he had to work 7 to 3, get 2 days off, and then 3 to 11.
Oh, jeez.
So, I mean, it was like cycles like that.
Yeah.
And I didn't get to really know my dad till after Mom died, and he did, he wasn't working anymore, because during that time he was either at work or asleep really, and it was tough, but yeah, that was. That was one I was like, Dad, can't you come up with like a plan B or something? It's like everybody's like pointing this out and making fun of me. And he's like, I'm sleeping great.
It was function over form.
It was.
Yeah.
It was.
It worked. Utilitarian. You got the job done.
Yep.
And that's why I appreciate it too. He didn't care. He just, we're going to make it work.
Yep.
By God, we made it work.
Yep.
Another story about my dad. Dad was a big camping fan. And he always kind of tried to relay that to me, and he did every now and then. I really enjoyed camping for a long time as a kid. He took us out as a Cub Scout trip, and he was one of the co-leaders of the Cub Scout trip. It was a full weekend trip. Went up to Mount Rogers in Southwest Virginia, the tallest mountain in Virginia, I believe. And we trekked across the entire mountain range, White Top Mountain, Mount Rogers, all that. And he knew what to do. He went along because he knew how to do that, because when he was a kid, he camped out all the time. He would camp out in the middle of rattlesnakes. There's one where he grew up, there was a big rock outcropping on one of the big hills, one of the big mountains there where he grew up. And there were actually rattlesnakes that would live in those crags of the rocks and stuff. And he would go up there and stay. It was amazing that he never got bit, but he never did. Anyway, we went camping, and he taught me a lot. He taught me how to build a fire from scratch, from sparks. Had a little Cub Scout thing where you shaved it and he threw off the sparks, and it caught the grass and the small twigs and stuff on fire. The kindling, and he got me this little flashlight, and we act like we were playing little Buck Rogers games or shooting flashlight laser beams at each other. And never will forget, though, this is probably not a very favorable story about my dad, but I got sick on the way back. I got sick because I drank some water from a spring that probably was not the cleanest spring. So I got sick, and he got stung by a bee right above his eye. So we're walking back. It's probably a good 10-mile hike back to the car on a Sunday morning. So I'm feeling bad. I got a sore throat. I'm just feeling awful. But poor Dad, he's trying to coach me along. I look up at him, and he's got this big, I can't even describe it. The bee had stung him right about there, and his entire eye had swollen shut. It was big bloop. But he didn't complain. He didn't complain one bit. And there were other boys on that trip too, and he helped everybody along. But I never will forget that he persevered. I was a big whiner the entire time, but he put up with me, and he had through that trip. And we never forgot that trip either. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, I think the last thing I talk about my dad is, when you're little and you're in elementary school, kindergarten, things like that, and be like, who you want to be when you grow up? Man, you're liable to say like Batman or fireman, whatever. You're liable to say anything, but over the years, like my mom got really, really sick, and she was in bad shape before she passed away. And I just saw how my dad dealt with all that, and character that he always, put forth. My dad was always about, honesty and dignity, and
he always had my respect.
Doing the right thing no matter what, and I watched him do that through a horror story, really. My mom got breast cancer when she was really young in the early 80s, and treatment then was mustard gas, and it was bad. Yeah. It was just really bad. And I think one thing I always come about is, like, if you ask me, like, who you want to be when you grow up, it'd be like my pops. And that's one thing I always remember about him, that, and he always taught me, like, man enough to do it, be man enough to take consequences.
That's it.
And,
That's it.
Do the right things. Do the right things, and let the chips fall where they may. But what I watched my dad go through with my mom was a lot. and it just made an impression on me, and I'll never forget it. And I always look at that as how you want to carry yourself and how you want to be, and how you want to treat people, and that's what he always did. And don't want to end on that like sad note. So the very last one, you may not you may not.
No, we're going to talk about it.
You may not remember this one, but my dad and mom were collecting. I don't know. They got into collecting stuff they'd find at a flea market, and I guess they were Avon at that time had figurines and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, there was evidently some of these. The only way you could buy them. Outside of buying them from a third party was you had to be in what was called the Avon's President's Club. And if y'all don't know what Avon is, I mean, it was like when you were younger, like usually like 100% of the time back then, a female would knock on the door and they would talk to your mom or your sister or something and sell them, I don't know, hand lotions and soaps and hairspray, whatever. My dad decides, what do you got to do to be in President's Club? Well, you got to sell so much Avon. Okay, I'm going to do it. Shit you not. My dad actually sold Avon.
I never do that.
And got in the President's Club just to be able to buy some of the, I forgot what, I think they were Miss Albie, I think they were called. Can't remember. But they were these porcelain, I don't know, figurines of I don't know, like elegant looking women holding umbrellas and stuff, and I think they had like perfume or something in them. I can't remember, but I mean, he was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna go do that, and he did this on top of working swing shift, so he found time to go peddle Avon to people. And I remember,
I never do that.
Remember, he takes me to one of the meetings, and me and him are the only two men in the whole room, and everybody in there was like, "We love your dad. He's so nice and all," and I was like, going, I just want to go home. I had no interest in it whatsoever, but I just remember that it was like he just decided, well, I think he emailed us a check. Do you have to be a female self? No.
Fine, I'll do it.
And I'm telling you.
Wow, I never knew that.
Yeah,
My mom probably bought stuff from your dad.
Maybe.
Because, we always got the Avon Batman
I'm like
brushes
a mechanical
and
engineer at an aluminum factory, and I'm pushing Avon on the side.
He was firmly entrenched in his masculinity.
He must have.
I don't think that was
He was
it.
hell bent on getting whatever that was that you had to, and again, you had to sell a lot of it. I think President's Club meant you're pushing a lot of this stuff, and
it's the equivalent of the pink Cadillac for Mary Kay Cosmetics.
Yeah, I think I was in like fourth or fifth grade when this was going on, and it was just like, holy cow, Yeah.
Well, I will say that our dads, no toxic masculinity at all, but they were very masculine. But it was all very positive role model. Both our dads, we rarely saw full tempers from them, and we knew when we were in trouble.
Oh, I did a couple times for mine.
Well, I did for mine too, but we really had to push them. We really had to push them to get there. One story, the last story I'm going to share about my dad for the current time. He's involved. My dad was an engineer for the telephone company. He worked with the physical equipment. He worked in a huge office with all of the big, they call them data trunks or trunks. Now everything's digital. There's not a whole lot of physical equipment except for computer servers and stuff like that in the phone system nowadays, in the phone companies. But back then, everything was physical. And I remember the times walking into his office, and his office was a big kind of a warehouse-looking place. All the equipment was very hot. It hummed very loudly. You could hear all the clicking because of all the little breakers and jumpers going off of all the phone calls going through that office. This is before digital, way before digital, so all the phone calls were being processed via analog wires and mechanical equipment. At the same time, he and I were on our computers doing bulletin board stuff and trying to make each other laugh. And we won't talk about it much here, but there's going to be a very explicit episode coming up, probably
Be a disclaimer on that one.
in our future. Not for kids at all. Not for kids. But he and I cussed from an early age. Always have. Don't know where it came from. Our parents didn't cuss. Our dads didn't cuss. But somehow we learned it. Probably the bigger kids in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
But this is way before email. This is the early 80s, mid 80s maybe. This was when it was computer to computer interaction or online. Back when you used a dial-up modem.
300 baud, baby.
Was it even 300 then? I guess it was. I guess
that's what my modem was 300.
And we'll probably insert some kind of little graphic or sound effect here so you can, to prompt your, crap like that. So we'll probably insert something there to make you remember, or if you don't know what that was, to clue you in as to what that was. But there was no bulletin board. There was no America Online, or no internet per se. What we had strictly was bulletin board to bulletin board. You dialed in, and that was the communication style back then, a BBS, a bulletin board system. You could share files, you could have chats.
It's usually running in somebody's, den or something like that.
Yeah, this was all homebrew. There was nothing corporate about these at all. It was people just setting up stuff in their houses. Anyway, he and I were typing some of the most vulgar stuff you've ever seen or read. We're not going to talk about what we
Straight up
typed.
sport cussing right over the...
Oh, sport cussing. Words that would get us an NC-17 or even an X rating at
Make
that point.
the paint fall off the walls.
You can see the vapor rising up off the screen from the stuff we were typing, and it was it was just stupid stuff. We weren't cussing each other out. We were just, hey, look at me cuss. Here's a stupid, funny, dirty joke, and so forth. And we didn't think twice about it. Until one day, Dad comes home from work. This is after he and I had been on the bulletin board or on the computer, talking back and forth, sharing some of these vulgarisms. He's over there with me. We had an extra bedroom in our house, and Dad had turned it into a computer room. One side was mine with my Commodore 64 and all that stuff. The other side was his with his Commodore 64 and his IBM. At this point, he had given up his 8080. He comes in after a day at the office, walks over to us in the computer room, gently lays down
Printout.
papers, just like this right here. Paper. Lays them down in front of us, walks out of the room. Doesn't say a word. Hey, Dad, how are you?
Didn't say a word.
Hey, Dad. Walks out of the room. We pick up the papers. There is our conversation, verbatim, except he has taken the time. He has taken the time to edit out all the bad words, all the vulgarisms, all the nasty stuff that we talked about, which we're not going to share right now. But I'll just say it was
bad.
If you've ever seen Richard Pryor or Eddie Murphy do their comedy, it was that kind of level. So he had taken the time to edit it. He never said anything else about it. I wasn't grounded. My parents never called his parents.
Nothing was ever said.
But we knew that we were no longer safe. And we didn't do it again. That was the kind of dads we had. They ruled, I won't say fiercely, but they ruled strongly with an iron hand. They made sure that we were good folks. I hope to think we're good folks. I think we are.
Yeah.
But they did it without threats, without fear, without toxic masculinity. They did it simply through respect. We respected them. They didn't feel they needed to browbeat us. And when they made a point, by God, they made a point. So, anyway, this episode has went a little bit longer than our typical ones just because we wanted to spend a little bit of time with our dads, so to speak. So, please, as you listen to this, reflect back on your own relationship with your dads, with your fathers, as you watch this. They're still around. Call them, hug
Go
them.
give them a hug, yeah.
Yeah. And we will see you next time. Game over. See ya.